She said, "I'm pregnant and you're the father. Pay up or I'm going to court." I replied, "Let's get a DNA test first." When she refused, I hired a private investigator who found out she'd had a hysterectomy 3 years ago. The night I played those medical records at her family's dinner table, every lie she'd built crumbled at once. That I'm 36. I work as a systems analyst for a logistics firm, the kind of job that makes people's eyes glaze over when you explain what you do. Stable, quiet, methodical. That's how most people would describe me. And that's exactly how I liked my life until 3 months ago, when my ex, Claire, texted me out of nowhere. "We need to talk. It's important. And yes, it's yours." No hi. No preamble, just that. Claire and I had dated on and off for about a year. She was one of those people who could light up a room and drain it dry in the same breath. Magnetic, but unstable. We'd broken up 6 months prior, mostly because of her impulsivity with money and this habit she had of bending the truth until it fit her narrative. When I saw that text, my stomach dropped, but I forced myself to breathe. I called her. She didn't even let me speak. "Before you say anything, yes, I'm pregnant. You're the father. I don't need your permission, but I need your support. I'm not doing this alone." Her tone wasn't emotional. It was transactional. I remember that. There wasn't any trembling in her voice, no tearful pause. Just a practiced firmness, like someone negotiating rent. "Okay," I said. "If it's true, I'll do the right thing. But we'll need a DNA test." She laughed. Actually laughed. "You think I'd lie about this? You think this is a game? You're disgusting. I'm offering you a chance to do right by your child, and your first instinct is to call me a liar?" Something about how quickly she turned defensive made my skin crawl. "Claire," I said slowly, "we haven't even seen each other in almost 7 months. You understand why I'd have doubts." She went silent for a second, then said quietly, "I'm taking this to court. You'll be paying child support whether you like it or not." And just like that, she hung up. For a few days, I told myself maybe I was overreacting. Maybe she was pregnant. Maybe she'd gotten the dates wrong. But when her lawyer, a friend of hers with no license, sent me a message demanding $2,000 for prenatal expenses, I knew something was off. I decided to be patient. I asked for ultrasound pictures, medical reports, anything. She refused, saying I didn't deserve to see them. Then she sent me a photo of a positive pregnancy test sitting on her bathroom counter, timestamp cropped out, of course. I checked the metadata of the image. Years in IT make you paranoid. It was taken 3 years ago. That's when something in me shifted. The initial fear turned into something else. Cold, quiet clarity. I started keeping records, screenshots, call logs, timestamps. Every interaction cataloged. The next time she called, crying this time, I just listened. "You ruined my peace, Aaron. You think you're so smart with your little tech job, but I'm the one carrying your baby." I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my browser, typed "private investigator near me," and made an appointment. The investigator I hired was an older guy named Mark Hollister. Ex-cop, gray hair, heavy hands, and a voice like sandpaper. His office smelled like old coffee and carpet glue. He didn't blink when I explained what was happening. "So," he said, jotting something in a notebook, "you think she's faking a pregnancy to get money out of you?" I nodded. "She's been threatening court, won't show proof, and I know the photo she sent is old." Mark looked at me over his glasses. "All right, then we'll do this by the book." He laid out the plan like he'd done it 1,000 times before. Find out which OBGYN she's supposedly visiting. Verify appointments or ultrasounds. Discreetly contact hospitals for confirmation of pregnancy records. And, if necessary, track her daily movements for a week. I signed the retainer and left feeling like I'd crossed a line, not ethically, but emotionally. It felt strange realizing that I didn't trust her at all, not even a little. 3 days later, Mark called. "She's not seeing any OBGYN under her name or any aliases we could trace. No appointments, no lab tests, no prescriptions for prenatal vitamins." He sounded cautious, like he'd seen worse. "But here's the kicker," he added. "According to medical database records, she had a hysterectomy 3 years ago at St. Mary's Medical Center. Complete removal. She physically can't be pregnant." I didn't speak. The air in my apartment felt suddenly thick, like gravity had doubled. He continued. "We confirmed it through her insurance. Everything matches. Date, doctor, follow-up records. I'll send the report over. And, Aaron, you might want to be careful. If she's lying about this, it's probably not the first lie she's told. I thanked him, hung up, and just sat there staring at the wall. Hysterectomy. 3 years ago. That was before we even met. So the entire relationship, every emotional outburst, every tearful, I can't wait to have a family someday, had been built on a lie. The next week felt surreal. She kept texting me, alternating between threats and affection. If you'd just be a man and pay what you owe, I wouldn't have to do this. Our baby deserves better than a father who hides behind lawyers. You used me, Aaron. I just wanted love. I didn't reply. Instead, I quietly looped in my attorney, Rachel Donovan, who specialized in family law and fraud. When I explained the situation, she didn't even flinch. This happens more than you think, she said calmly. But the hysterectomy angle is rare. That's quite something. She told me to document everything. Every call, every threat, every time she mentioned court or money. And then she gave me the idea that would change everything. If you ever confront her, record it. Legally, since this is a one-party consent state, you can use the audio as evidence if she admits to anything. I already had the medical files. Now I needed her to react to them. The opportunity came faster than I expected. Her sister, Megan, invited me to a Sunday family dinner. She said Claire wanted to resolve things peacefully, that she was willing to compromise. My first instinct was to say no. Then I realized it was the perfect setup. I told Rachel, who gave me her blessing and instructions. Print the medical report. Bring a copy of the investigator's findings. Keep your phone recording from the moment you walk in. So that's exactly what I did. I remember the drive over vividly. The low hum of the engine, my heartbeat in my ears, the faint smell of the takeout I'd brought just to seem normal. I rehearsed what I'd say, calm, factual, controlled. When I arrived, everyone was already seated. Her parents, her sister, her brother-in-law. Claire looked radiant. A white blouse, soft curls, fake serenity. She smiled at me like none of the threats had happened. "Thanks for coming, Aaron," she said sweetly. "I think we can put this ugliness behind us if you just acknowledge your responsibility." I nodded. "I agree. That's exactly why I'm here." Her mother looked relieved. Her father muttered something about doing the right thing. Claire leaned forward. "So, we're settled then? You'll contribute to prenatal." That's when I slid the folder across the table. "Before we discuss money," I said, keeping my tone level, "I think you should look at this." She frowned, opening the folder. The color drained from her face as she saw the hospital header, her own name, the words "Total Hysterectomy, February 2022. Her sister leaned over. "Claire, what is this?" Claire's mouth opened, closed, opened again. "That's fake. He made that up." I hit play on my phone. An audio clip from Mark's verification call with the hospital, confirming the surgery date and details. Her father's hand froze on his fork. Her mother whispered, "Oh my God." Claire started shaking her head violently. "He's lying. He hacked something. He's obsessed with me." That's when I spoke the line that I'd rehearsed 100 times in my head. "Then how did your insurance company process the surgery?" Dead silence. Her mother stood up, tears in her eyes. "Claire, tell me this isn't true." Claire started crying, real sobs now, but not from guilt, from exposure. I stopped recording. I didn't need any more proof. Update 1. I can still replay that night in my mind frame by frame. The way the air thickened when I slid the folder across the table. The exact second the lies began collapsing under their own weight. After I stopped the recording, no one spoke for several seconds. Forks lay untouched. Her father's jaw was clenched, his eyes darting between Claire and the medical report. Finally, her sister Megan whispered, "Claire, you told us you were 12 weeks. Claire's voice cracked. "He's twisting everything. You know what he's like. He's manipulative." Her father slammed his hand on the table, the plates rattling. "Enough. You lied to this man. To us. About a pregnancy? About a baby?" She flinched like he'd struck her. "You don't understand. I needed time to figure things out. I thought if he cared enough, he'd come back." Her words tumbled into the silence like broken glass. Every fragment sharp, unconvincing. Her mother just sat there, staring at her, face pale. "You said the doctor said everything was fine. You showed us an ultrasound." I spoke quietly, almost apologetically. "That ultrasound was a stock image from Google. Reverse search confirmed it." Her mother started to cry. Her father looked at me like he wanted to say something, but all he managed was, "You should go, son. This isn't your mess anymore." I nodded. I stood. And for a moment, Claire's eyes met mine. Wide, desperate, terrified. Aaron, please. Don't do this. I didn't mean to. You didn't mean to blackmail me? I asked softly. Or to fake a pregnancy to get money out of me? She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. I didn't wait for one. As I left, I could hear her father's voice, low and shaking. Pack your things tonight, Claire. You can't stay here. By the time I got to my car, my hands were trembling. Not from anger, from release. 6 months of tension, confusion, and paranoia suddenly leaving my body. I sat there in the dark driveway, engine off, the faint light from the house illuminating the outline of people through the window. Her family still sitting there, heads bowed, while she sobbed into her hands. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt hollow. The next morning, my lawyer called. Rachel had already received the investigator's report and my audio recording. She won't be able to pursue any claim now, Rachel said. In fact, if she tries, it'll qualify as fraud and attempted extortion. Do you want to press charges? I hesitated. Part of me wanted to. The other part, the quieter, older part, just wanted peace. No, I said finally. Let it go. I've got everything documented. If she tries anything again, we'll act. Rachel sighed. You're taking the high road, Aaron. Not everyone could. I didn't tell her that it didn't feel like the high road. It felt like standing on scorched earth, alone, holding ashes. 2 days later, I got an email from Megan. Just 2 sentences. I'm so sorry for what she did. We didn't know. Thank you for handling it the way you did. I never replied. There wasn't anything left to say. Weeks passed. No word from Claire. Then, one afternoon, a police officer called me. Routine follow-up. Claire had tried filing a harassment complaint against me, claiming I'd stalked and threatened her. I emailed him the entire documentation folder. Screenshots, messages, the investigator's report, the medical verification, and the audio recording. He called back the next day. Mr. Green, thank you. We're closing her complaint. For your awareness, she's been warned about filing false claims. That was the last time her name crossed any legal record connected to mine. For months, I replayed that dinner. Not because I missed her, I didn't, but because I couldn't stop thinking about how convincing she'd been. How easily charm can camouflage deceit. How fragile reality becomes when you start doubting your own instincts. There's this idea people have that liars always slip up. They don't. Some of them never do unless you make the effort to see past what you want to believe. I used to think trust was a default setting, something everyone deserved until proven otherwise. Now I see it as something that must be earned, like clearance to a private server, restricted access, monitored activity, and logs kept indefinitely. Final update that it's been almost a year since that night at her parents' house, and sometimes it still doesn't feel real, like I watched someone else's life unravel through glass. Claire vanished for a while after the fallout. Deleted her social media, moved out of her parents' home, resurfaced months later under a different last name. A mutual acquaintance told me she'd been going through therapy and working part-time at a salon. I hope that's true. I don't hate her. I can't. Hatred would mean I still cared enough to carry her around. But what I did carry for a long time was suspicion. It's strange how deceit rewires you. For months, I'd double-check every small thing. Bills, text timestamps, even the tone of coworkers' emails. Every smile felt like a question mark. I started keeping physical copies of everything important locked away. Not because I thought someone would lie again, but because I'd learned that truth has a shelf life, and if you don't preserve it, someone else might rewrite it. Therapy helped. My therapist, a quiet man named Harris, said something that stuck with me. You didn't fall for her lies because you were foolish. You fell because you believed empathy was mutual. That hit me harder than anything else. I realized I'd spent most of my relationship with Claire trying to explain myself, justify myself, fix misunderstandings that weren't misunderstandings at all. They were strategies. And when you play chess with someone who's using a different rulebook, you never really win. In February, I moved into a new apartment downtown. Minimalist, quiet, overlooking the city skyline. I kept the furniture simple: one couch, one desk, one bed. It felt right. Empty, but deliberate. Sometimes I sit by the window late at night and think about how different everything looks when you're not walking on eggshells. No frantic texts. No emotional blackmail disguised as love. No fear that a calm day means a storm is coming. Just silence. And for the first time in a long time, That silence doesn't scare me. A few months ago, I got a letter in the mail, a small, handwritten envelope with no return address. Inside was a single note. I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness. I wasn't well. I wanted control, and you were the only one who never gave me any. That's why I tried to destroy you. See, I sat with it for a long time. Then I folded it neatly, slipped it into a folder labeled case, closed, and put it in my safe with the rest of the documentation. Not out of spite, just record keeping. Closure, in its truest form, isn't an emotion. It's a file you stop opening. People ask sometimes, mostly friends who know the short version, whether I'd ever trust someone again. I tell them the truth. Yes, but differently. I used to think love was a promise you gave freely. Now I see it as a contract, not in the cold legal sense, but in the sense that it's mutual accountability. Two people who agree not to weaponize each other's hearts. That sounds clinical, I know, but it's not cynical, it's survival. Because I've learned that real peace doesn't come from exposing a liar or winning in court. It comes from knowing that, when the storm hits, you stayed calm. You acted with reason, not revenge. You protected yourself without becoming like them. A few weeks ago, I ran into Megan, Claire's sister, at a grocery store. She looked tired, but relieved to see me. I just wanted to say, she said, thank you for not destroying her. You could have made it worse. I smiled. It already destroyed itself. She nodded. You were the only one who ever saw her clearly. Maybe that's true. Or maybe I just learned to see people without the story they're selling. When I got home that night, I poured myself a glass of whiskey, opened my window, and watched the city lights flicker. Somewhere out there, she's living her version of the truth. And I'm living mine. I used to think the opposite of love was hate. Now I know it's indifference. And indifference, when earned through fire, feels a lot like freedom.